done. This administration, inherited an obsolete, broken, old system that wasn't meant for this. We discarded that system, and we now have a new system that can do millions of people as you need them. But we had to get rid of a broken old system that didn't work. It worked only on a very limited basis. And we're very proud of what we've done. It's incredible what we've done. And this system will now serve for the future, for future problems. Hopefully you don't have a problem like this, but something will come up. We have now a great system, and it's almost fully in gear, but it's able to test millions of people. But we inherited a broken, old, frankly, a terrible system. We fixed it, and we've done a great job. And we haven't been given the credit that we deserve, that I can tell you. But the one that really deserves the credit are the American people.
This is out of the book of the Apocrypha, 2nd Esdras, chapter 9, verse 1. And he answered me then and said, Measure thou the time diligently in itself, and when thou seest part of the signs past, which I have told thee before, verse 2, then shalt thou understand that it is the very same time wherein the highest will begin to visit the world which he made. I want to give all praises to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Rakakwadash. I want to pay homage and give all honors to Great Millstone, who I've been getting my teaching and edification by, to all the apostles and the elders and the brothers who are teaching this word sincerely in the truth. And to the 144 elect, I hope that you sincere hear this word coming out to you guys across the four corners of the earth. What can I say? When we are seeing the times right before our eyes, and we are seeing the destruction of the world right before us, going down into the pits. And to those of you who've been watching, whether it be me or whether it been other brothers all throughout the internet who has been forewarning you, giving you the signs, giving you the videos, giving you the lessons, giving you the edification. It's all there and it's been there. And right now is the time for you to wake up and get your head out of your asses and pay attention to what's going on around you, because it's getting serious and it's getting down to the wire. Okay? It's getting down to the wire now. I'm going to bring your attention to an article that was posted yesterday by the Department of Justice in Washington, D.C. And it says here, the Department of Justice wants to suspend the constitutional rights during coronavirus emergency. And when I saw the title of this, it made me wonder about the transition that the U.S. has taken in implementing National Guards across certain major cities, and now California, the governor of California, wanting to set up martial law within the state of California, which we'll get into in another segment. But I just want to cover this article really quick because, you know, it brought to mind a couple of scriptures and prophecies that's being revealed right in front of us. So I'm just going to read here what this article is basically saying, so you guys understand what's actually about, what is about to happen. It says here, the Trump Department of Justice has asked Congress to craft legislation allowing chief judges to indefinitely hold people without trial and suspend other constitutionally protected rights during coronavirus and other emergencies, according to report by Politico's Betsy Woodruff Swan. While the ask from the Department of Justice will likely not come to fruition with a democratically controlled House of Representatives, they demonstrate how much this White House has a frightening disregard for rights enumerated in the Constitution. The Department of Justice has requested Congress allow any chief judge of a district court to pause court proceedings whenever the district court is fully or partially closed by virtue of any natural disaster, civil disobedience, or other emergency situations, according to draft language obtained by Politico. This will be applicable to any statutes or rules of procedure otherwise affecting pre-arrest, post-arrest, pre-trial, trial, and post-trial procedures in criminal and juvenile proceedings and all civil processes and proceedings. They justify this by saying currently judges can pause judicial proceedings in an emergency, but that new legislation would allow them to apply it in a consistent manner. But the Constitution grants citizens habeas corpus, which gives arrestees the right to appear in front of a judge and ask to be released before trial. Enacting legislation like the Department of Justice wants would essentially suspend habeas corpus indefinitely until the emergency ended. I want to stop there. So basically what it's saying is, as of right now, the Constitution grants all arrestees to appear in front of a judge based off a criminal act that they have gone out and permitted. Now, if the Department of Justice passes a bill suspending that right, then that means that if you are taken or, held in remand and arrested, you do not have the right to appear in front of the judge, which basically is saying that the system has the right to do whatever they want to do with you on their will by arresting you. So let's further read on and see what else it says. It says, further, Department of Justice asked Congress to suspend the statute of limitations on criminal investigations and civil proceedings during the emergency until a year after it ended. So you have to raise an eyebrow and ask the question, well, if they're suspending the limitations and everything that we're protected under the Constitution and Bill of Rights as far as our rights, when they go after, and you have to think, because I don't want to give it away here, but I just want to say a little bit of it, that anything goes, anything is possible if you are arrested because your rights have been stripped away from you. But we're going to read on because I want to get to the point. It says here, Norman L. Reamer, executive director of the National Association of Criminal Defense Lawyers, told Politico the measure was terrifying, saying not only would it be a violation of habeas corpus, which is your rights given under the Constitution to appear right in front of a judge if you are arrested. Keep that in the back of your mind. But it says affecting pre-arrest. So that means you could be arrested and never brought before a judge until they decide that the emergency or the civil disobedience is over, right? Because remember, in the U.S., you're innocent until proven guilty. But here, if they take away that right, you have no way of proving your innocence based on a basis of whatever else, or whatever the case they are arresting you for. So if they go and arrest you for whatever their cause is, you have no way of arguing that, and you have no way to be, bailed out of jail to stand right before a judge to prove your innocence. You don't have that right, is basically what they're saying. It says here, I find it absolutely terrifying, especially in a time of emergency. We should be very careful about granting new powers to the government. That is something that should not happen in a democracy, he added. Department of Justice also asked Congress to amend the federal rules of criminal procedure to have defendants appear at a hearing via video conference instead of in person, but only with the defendant's consent. But it's not just Americans' rights the Department of Justice wants to violate. They also asked Congress to pass a law saying that immigrants who tested positive for the COVID-19 cannot qualify as asylum seekers. As coronavirus spreads through the country, activists are calling on politicians in office to release prisoners and immigrants held in detention centers, both of which can be a hotbed of virus activity with so many people in close quarters and limited or non-existent supplies of soap, sanitizer, and protective equipment. Some states have already begun to do so, but with this, the Trump administration is taking steps to hold more people in prisons for an undetermined amount of time, showing their priority is not saving lives, but giving themselves more power. Okay. Now, what this means, if for some of you guys who did not understand anything that I just read, the Department of Justice wants to basically, if you are an American citizen, they want to strip your constitutional rights, meaning when they, because remember, they want to implement martial law across all 50 states, but there's a loophole with that. Okay, there's a loophole because you cannot implement martial law to the whole effect, right? Because the government has a certain law they have to abide by in order to implement martial law. And then the state has different laws and loopholes that they must go through in order to implement martial law. But in order for the government to override the state and to just go in and implement a full lockdown under martial law, they must do away with the Constitution, because as is stated in the report, the loophole is that with martial law, and I just want to paint this little pretty picture, if you are on the streets and the government tells you there's a lockdown, I'm just painting the picture for you. Let's say the government implements, we're going to use National Guard, even though that's just the pre-step to martial law, okay? We're going to use National Guards. Let's say you run into a National Guard encounter outside on the streets, and they tell you, okay, you got to break it up. You can't be out here under specific orders. Now, let's say they're handling the matter on a civil matter at that very given moment. If you don't comply with what they want you to do, they could take further steps. And yes, one of those steps could be to arrest you. Now, keep that in the back of your head. Let's take away National Guard and let's say they implemented martial law. Martial law is basically them coming down, take away the police units, right? They have the authority over the police. Now, martial law says that we're going to strip you your rights. You don't have the right to do anything other than what we tell you to do. And if you fail to comply, then we're going to hold you into custody. Meaning they're going to take you against your own will and they're going to cast you into either a prison or so-called camp. Okay? Now, in order for this to go down, what the Department of Justice is saying is for them to have total control, which means new powers to the government. Because remember, at the end of the article, it says here, showing their priority is not saving lives, but giving themselves more power, right? Now, by them taking away your constitutional rights, that gives them full authority to do whatever they damn well please with you. That gives them full authority to do whatever they please with you. So you guys have to understand all of these little subtle implementations of laws that they are cracking down is for the whole agenda to set up the end game for what they really want to do, and that's to set up a one world government. Well, you have to understand the United States of America is not the only country that's doing this. They are shutting down majority of countries across all of the globe. Okay? Because in order to roll out this agenda, they have to get everybody so far in the scarcity that when you get people in the state of the mind that if you take away certain supplies, if you take away certain foods or whatnot, and you put people in their most vulnerable, humblest state, they will do anything that you ask of them. And the only way to get that undivided attention from all humane is you have to create a pandemonium or a pandemic, in which they've done here using this coronavirus scarcity, right? They've created a pandemic to where they have created fears in the hearts of all civilization. Because now what's going to happen is they're going to start with coming up with the vaccination, because there's no way that the rest of human society, of all civilization, can return back to normal. We are too far gone from that. We are too far gone from people just turning away and going right back to living their lives comfortably the way that they were used to living it. So this lets you know right off the bat that we have come into a time where they are going to do away with the old system, right? Which is what the video you saw in the beginning, where, Trump clearly stated that they have a new system because they are dealing away with the old system. So now we are in a state where things are about to turn up and things are about to get very, very serious. And with that being said, I want to pull a couple of scriptures here to back up what I'm saying. Okay, because we gotta understand that everything that we're seeing around us is happening. And this is in the Apocrypha again, 2nd Esdras chapter 8, verse 27. It says, "Regard not the wicked inventions of the heathen, but the desire of those that keep thy testimonies in afflictions." What is that talking about? I just explained to you that the Department of Justice, one of their devices is by implementing a new law to suspend your constitutional rights. Once they suspend your constitutional rights, they're going to implement martial law across all 50 states. Okay? The first law of order under martial law is that you, yourself, your partner, your wife, and your kids will have to be vaccinated. Okay? That's going to be the first law that they're going to pass, because they're going to try to bring society back by saying we have a new tested vaccine that's going to help not only slow this pandemonium down, but it's going to help rid so that you can feel safe and continue back on within your daily livelihoods. Then it's going to come down to where that vaccination will not only be, what's the word I'm looking for? It'll not only be, voluntary if you want it, but it will be given a point to where they're going to make it mandatory. They're going to set it up in a way where they're going to say you either have to, in order for your children to go back to school or go back to daycare, they must get vaccinated. The same way they tell you when your child has just been born into the world, they need to get their vaccination shots, the measles, polio, hepatitis, and all of that. And if they don't get those shots, what happens? Your child cannot participate in public schooling. Okay? We have to wake up. The same thing is going to happen. They are trying to start a one world government. The signs are right in front of you. When they come out with this vaccination for the COVID-19 spread, it is going to first be if you want to get it. And then they're going to lure you in by saying more death tolls have come upon the nation. We have to do what we have to do by any means necessary to put a stop to all of this madness. And then what's going to happen is when they put it to you from that sense, then they're going to roll out a mandatory vaccine, which states that in order for you to either return back to work, to be around society, or whatever the case may be, you have to take it. There's no way of getting around this. Because that vaccination is going to lead to them implementing the microchip. And then for those of you who don't know by now, the microchip is the mark of the beast. Let's get that in Revelations. Because the book of Revelations clearly tells us all about the chip and the mark of the beast. Because Yahushua tells us to pay attention to the mark of the beast and to look out for it. Let me just type it in real quick. And you know the one that I'm looking for to receive that mark in their right hand. I want to get that because I want you guys to see firsthand. Here it is. Salakia, sorry for that. So Revelation 13, and we're going to start at verse 16. And it says, and he calls it all both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond, to receive a mark in their right hand or in their foreheads. Right. So what is that talking about? Well, we just said that the first thing they're going to do, if they get the opportunity to pass a law to strip you of your constitutional rights, they're going to start with the vaccinations. The vaccinations are going to become mandatory. Once they get you in that state to get the vaccine, then they're going to implement the chip. Now, you may say, what does the chip have to do with a fucking coronavirus? It's very simple. People are not paying attention to the stock market, okay? The reason why they're going to implement the mark of the beast, which is the microchip, is due to the fact that the stock market is crashing. Once they get the recession to hit, they're going to tell you we have to do away with a cashless society. Now, it's not wise for them to just say, let's say, for instance, if COVID-19 didn't exist, right? Let's say, for instance, if the virus didn't exist. Well, in order for them to do away with a cashless society, they have to have something that trips up the market. And they have to have something that allows for them to do away with cash. So you need to create some sort of a false flag that can be able to put fears into the mind of civilization to be able to lead up until doing away with a cashless society and to implement what they want to call a digital society. And the best way to do that is by implementing the spread of a virus. And here's how they're going to do it. The CDC will later announce, after the vaccinations will go through, that people, if you are doing hand-to-hand transactions of using dollar bills or dollar notes, those transactions are spreading the virus. It's going to be something so simple as that storyline that's going to break news. And then that's going to be the foundation that is going to set them up to say, we have to now do away with a cashless society because it is the old system and that system is not helping us. And they're going to come out with what they will call a revolutionary a revolutionary way to a new world that is going to help us into the future. And what they're talking about is the mark of the beast. The mark of the beast is the microchip. It has already been proven that this chip will have all of your credentials. It will have your identification, your social security number, your passport details, your medical details, your bank accounts, credit cards, debit cards, all finances is going to be installed within this chipping information. Everything that they're doing is leading to a greater cause to set up this one world government, which wants to rule over the society. And what's going to happen is when they implement that, this is just the beginning. The Department of Justice has to suspend constitutional right, because if they can suspend the Constitution, they can do away with the government. They can do away with the government. And when you look at UN, the UN is on this too. The UN and the United States of America, they work side by side. They work co-hand with each other. The elites are the ones that control the masses of all governments around the world. And what they're trying to do is they're trying to do this shutdown globally as a way to see and to test, to see what they can do to get away, to start implementing these changes. And that's why you have people around that are in a panic state because they don't know what the fuck is going on. But the scriptures tells you plain as sight what is about to happen. Because I want to go back to Second Esdras, chapter 9, verse 2, and it says, "Then shalt thou understand that it is the very same time giving these signs that we see," going back into verse 1, "wherein the highest," meaning the Most High, "will begin to visit the world which he made." So we are in those times. We are in those times. And how do you know we are in those times? It ain't just because of COVID-19. No. Look at what's happening in Africa. Look at what's happening in the Middle East. Look at the earthquake that just hit Croatia. Look at the locusts that are in Nigeria. Okay? Look at the tsunamis that are being hit across the islands but are not being reported on the news. Why? Because they don't want to tell you. They don't want to tell you what's going on. See, the Most High is in control of everything that's going on right now. And all he's doing right now is just speeding up things for the sake of the elect. Let's get that in scripture to prove it. Matthew chapter 24, verse 22. Highlight that for you. "And except those days should be shortened, there should no flesh be saved, but for the elect's sake, those days shall be shortened." So the Most High, he's putting in chess moves. Every time Esau makes a move, the Most High is already on it. And I'm telling you right now, and this is only to the Hebrew Israelites. This is not to you other nations. This is only to my brothers and sisters who are seeking knowledge and seeking the truth and trying to find out what's going on. If you've lost your job, if you're sitting at home, quarantined off or in lockdown, now is the time to repent, to gain knowledge of what's going on, and to seek help, and to come to us brothers who have the truth. Because I'm telling you, this is not a matter of fighting in a carnal state. I don't give a damn if you bought ammo for your guns, for your weapons, because when they put martial law in full effect, your guns and your ammunition ain't gonna save you. This is spiritual warfare that's going on right now. And you need to get your mind, body, and spirit prepared for what's about to go down. Not just in the United States, but around the globe, because they're taking over the world. But America is the main source to where all of this is going to go down and it's going to start. So I want to say to you, brothers, I hope you were sincerely edified by this video. Please share this video, post, comment, do whatever it is that you want to do. And let's talk about it, because I'm here to only spread the message. I'm here to put the word out to the best of my ability. And we have to understand we are in the times. The Most High is showing us the signs. He's here. The signs are right in front of you. The plagues are being played out in front of the world as he said it would happen. The prophecies are coming to pass. So to all you brothers and sisters out there, I want to say shalom. And, it's on to the next one.